Welcome to another episode of Intuition First podcast with your hosts, Heather McKay and Christine Mira. We're here to connect you to your intuition and the gifts of the universe to get more out of your life and your business.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Intuition First. I am Heather McKay.
And I'm Christine Mira. Hey there.
Good to be with you today. Christine, what are we going to be talking about today?
Oh, well, it's a really big conversation for most of us, and it has to do with your value and what you bring to the planet or what you're doing on the planet or why are you here? All those questions you ask yourself at some point while you're alive.
Right. Am I enough?
No, you're not. You're not enough.
Do this, do that.
You're
not ever doing enough.
Why didn't you not think of this? Or why didn't you say that? Or
Right.
Why did you wear this? Or how come you're like that? Does that sound familiar inside your head?
It does. If you hear it from others, it's bad enough. But if you hear it inside your head all the time, you can't get away from it. So
right. Like I used to say, stop talking to my friend like that. Because you would never say the things to somebody else that you say to yourself.
That's true.
Right.
Very true.
Like the level of berating and judgment and admonishment that we speak to ourselves is so harsh.
It is very harsh. And I heard a thing the other day, somebody was saying about talking to your children. Like, would you talk to your child in this way? You say some of the things that you say in your head to your child, and absolutely you would not. Absolutely, you would not ever say that to them. I mean, I hope you wouldn't.
Well, here's
sometimes
the thing.
We get short-tempered and that happens. But
here's the thing.
But no, we need to be kinder to ourselves.
Well, there are parents that speak that way to their children, and
that's true. Yeah, unfortunately,
to their children is because they talk to themselves like that and even more harshly, right? So how someone's showing up in the world, how they're being in relation to someone else is really the self-talk that's going on inside their own head. Could you imagine?
It's terrible. So it's just coming out. It's already going on inside their head and it's coming out. But really, what does that stem from? Like all that negativity inside your head.
Well, they were probably spoken to, taught that way when they were children. That's how their parents interacted with them.
Right. So, and it gives you a lack of self-worth. Right.
Well,
like inside.
If you're speaking that way all the time and that's how you were spoken to, and then you're recreating it now in your life with your own children, that's a legacy pattern.
Right.
That's a pattern of conditioning that we don't have an awareness or awakeness to. And we recreate it out of rote because it's been patterned for us.
Right.
So
and it just carries down and down and down.
Until somebody stands up inside one of the generations and goes, bullshit, I'm not doing that anymore. This is really painful. I don't want to recreate this for myself. And I don't want to give it to the people that I love. And I especially don't want to give it to our kids.
Right. And that takes some courage sometimes to stand up and be the one to stand up to all that.
It takes courage to be awake.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
Because being awake means we have to be super responsible for the things we're doing in this life, how we're interacting and the way that we treat people and how we hear people and the way we support or don't support someone. Like, to be awake means that you are consciously creating a life that you want to live into. And so much of the time, people don't want to do that. They want to have the excuse, well, I don't know better. Well, nobody's ever done that for me. I don't know how to do that. What do you mean? What? Like, right. And then it's like they do it and then starts to shift. And what does that mean? It means change.
Right. And that's unsettling for a lot of people. People don't like change because it's unfamiliar and out of their comfort zone.
Well, it's so, when we talk about comfort zone, I define that as something that you're used to, that you've done always. But the
Right.
bigger question, the underlying question, it does it help you grow? Like I've heard people talk to each other in just the most disrespectful, sort of angry, antagonistic ways of being with each other. And I used to think like, oh, that only happens on TV. But
Right.
I've actually seen families talk like that to each other, and it's the course of being normal.
Right. I've heard that too. And it's really makes you feel awkward for other people to be around in that dynamic going on.
Well, just the level of pain and suffering that
Right.
when they're speaking to each other and what it causes. And then you
Right.
have these children that are growing up inside that environment and they don't know any better. And then they
Right.
wonder why their adult lives may be sort of messed up, either professionally or
Right.
personally, because they've never been around love, the frequency of love and support and generosity and kindness and compassion. They've been around negativity and tearing each other down and fear and scarcity. So when we talk about what's your value is what you were molded into as a young one and what you choose to step into as you become an adult.
Right. And sometimes I think that's a hard transition for people to make if they don't have if they're not around anybody who can help them lift up. Like, you say you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Hmm.
I've heard that before. And I think if you don't have anybody in your circles that is on a higher level than you, that's doing, that that makes you want to strive for more, that it is hard for people to pull themselves out, you know? Um,
it so here's the thing. If you like the feeling of being contracted in that space of negativity,
right,
sort of bumping up against people, being angry at them, shooting your mouth off because think you're smart and righteous, and everywhere you go, you just have to put your shield up. Ooh, 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 ooh. But then when somebody asks you to step forward, right, you can't do it because you feel, well, I should say there's two choices. You sometimes you don't want to do it because you don't feel like you deserve it or you're not in the right place. And there's another part that's like, I am so right. I'm so right. And you go out and you're like angry and you're spewing all this stuff all over the world, telling everybody how right you are. Well, that's another form of not having value, because when you have to go out into the world to prove your conversation of who you are and how you're showing up, and everybody else is wrong. Yeah, that's somebody that's falsely confident.
yeah. Low self-esteem shines through.
Yeah, yeah.
All that bravado and all that machismo or whatever,
Or
that comes,
machismo.
yeah, or machismo, correct, right. That comes out. And that person's generally hurt inside and they're totally projecting and they don't they don't believe in themselves.
But God,
And
what happens when you see somebody like that and you approach them with just a few words of kindness? Like, I see you. Wow, what a contribution you just made. Those
right.
few words spoken to somebody that feels like that, like they finally feel seen. Like, because that's all everybody wants, right? We all just need to
Oh
be
yeah.
seen, right? We
Oh
all just need
yeah.
to be heard,
It's disarming to them. They don't know what to do with it
right?
because they're like, wait a minute, you're not arguing with me, you're not challenging me,
Yeah,
you're just being kind. I don't really know what to do with that.
exactly. Like my whole thing in life is having the currency of kindness, right? Like just being kind, just emanating kindness, just acknowledging people, just seeing them, being playful, having a little joy. Like it spreads so far
Right.
because we
It's
don't have enough
contagious.
of it in our lives. We don't get enough of it. There's not enough people programmed to speak that conversation.
Right. Definitely need more of that.
Yeah, and you
Everybody's all wrapped up in their own drama and their own head, and it comes out in different ways. And the more people that are, being kind in the world, it would just change things.
Yeah, I have to say that I mentioned this in another podcast. Like literally, people will get in my way in a course of walking or going to the grocery store or walking to the pickleball. Or like there are people who like literally see me and they sort of get in my path. And I think it's just because I try to emulate that kindness. That hello, how are you? Are you having a good day? Have a good day. It's sort of like just imparting that greeting to someone
Right.
really shift and change, just change somebody's day altogether, or how they are walking through it. Because sometimes
Right.
people just don't have somebody to say good morning to.
Right. And that's sad that they don't have that.
Yeah.
That there's nobody, even people online, sometimes they go online looking for anybody to see them. You see posts or things like that on social media in certain places that people are just looking to be seen and
Yeah.
heard, whatever it is.
I feel like, we have the internet. It gives us a great opportunity to reach many people and to connect to many people. And inside of that filter of masses, we lose the human connectedness that is to one other.
Right.
Right. And so that's why that's why there are people who kill other people with guns, because they're so isolated. Right. So even when I'm on social media, I try to be kind, or I try to make a
Right.
post that acknowledges, shares, evokes questions like, oh yeah, I read your post. That's, here's my important reply.
Right. I try to do the same thing. And I'm trying to be more conscious of it too for even strangers. Like if you're on, I don't know, a bigger platform that maybe it's not all your friends, maybe
Right.
it's some
Right.
people that you don't know. Um, if they don't have comments or likes and you have something to say, just offer them something.
Yeah.
It will make their day, literally.
Well, sometimes I don't have anything to say, but I can post a flower, a heart,
Right.
smiley face, a broken heart, or
Right.
an angry face,
Right.
just so that they know, oh, somebody's read my post. You
The
know,
acknowledgement, just
yeah,
acknowledgement that somebody saw it and somebody recognized it.
right.
Even that small gesture can mean a lot.
And that's
Totally
when we
agree.
talk about value, and originally we were talking about you, the individual. What is your value and why do you stop? So if you want to listen to that one, go to the imposter syndrome and listen
Mhm.
to why you don't show up. But
Right.
you knowing your value, the kindness of your heart, the radiant being that you are, the individual that you embody, like that is all really important. And it's important for you to extend yourself in a way where you can enroll somebody in a smile or a happy thought, or acknowledgement. Because if we
Right.
all could do that regularly, there wouldn't be anybody feeling the need of loneliness or exclusion or for being forgotten. And that's where so
Right.
much pain comes from, for so many people to be forgotten.
Right.
Especially now, we're getting into the holidays. Oh my God, it's almost Halloween.
Shh, don't say that.
Well, notice I didn't say the big commercial holiday.
Oh,
I
right,
said
right.
it's
I
almost
know.
Halloween.
I know.
But yeah, like all these parties are coming up and they're big social gatherings, and it's great if you have a family and you've got places to go. But for people who don't, like invite them over for dinner or have a cocktail, or let's go have a coffee,
Right.
because it gets really lonely. And how do I know that? Because my husband died. So before he died, we had lots of things going on all the time. We had family activities, we had places to go, we had relatives, and then he died. And then it was like, oh, and now there's the three of you. And
Right.
then there was, oh, how are you spending your holiday? It wasn't like, hey, come on over and have a holiday. Now it felt like it was so burdensome for people to have us over, because we were stricken with grief or sadness. But like that's a part of living.
Right. And
So
everybody's going to go through something at some point.
hard times,
So the
yeah.
shoe's likely to be on the other foot down the road.
I always, if somebody doesn't have a place to go, I invite them over. Like even if it's just for cookies and coffee or whatever, it's like, oh, you want to come
Right.
over for a little while and have a chat and hang out, or maybe that might extend into a football game, or
Right.
in my case, it's a pickleball match, on
Right.
TV. But
And some people I know have like a Friendsgiving.
yeah,
We have a friend who doesn't have a lot of family, and he always has people over for Friendsgiving for
yeah,
Thanksgiving,
yeah.
which is nice. Potluck and all of that.
My son. So when they were little, I used to just go all out, cook and bake, and this would go on for like 8 weeks literally, because
Oh boy.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then my birthday is New Year's Day, so
Right.
it just like onslaught. And then my husband passed, and then I just didn't feel like there was much to celebrate, but I still had to do it, because I had my kids.
Right.
And then my youngest son loves to cook. He's a little chef. He's like my brother who cooks. And Koji and my older son Sammy, they started cooking holidays for me. So when Koji was 12, I haven't cooked a holiday dinner since he was 12. And he's
Wow.
22 now.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Can you imagine? You cook a Thanksgiving dinner. So I go out and buy all the fixings and then they cook. But at 12, he and Sammy cooked
Wow.
Thanksgiving dinner.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and it's good and juicy, the turkey.
Not dry.
Not dry. And then at Christmas, we always get a ribeye. And I when I made it when they were little, I would encrust it in garlic horseradish. So it sits in it for 2 days and then you cook it. And they learned how to do that. So I literally just buy the food, come home, and then all I have to do is eat. I love it.
That's awesome. Well, I think that if we can all think about having a little more kindness to others, but also knowing our own value, like not letting other people diminish us
Right.
as we go through the world, whether
Well,
that's
here's the secret to that.
okay.
If somebody's speaking to you and trying to diminish you, why? Like, why does that happen? Because we are externally looking for validation.
Right.
But if you know who you are in your heart, you know yourself from the inside out. If somebody speaks poorly or badly to you, what do? You say, "Oh, thanks for the information. Delete. Move on."
Right.
Right?
Well, that might be a little bit easier said than done, but if we practice it, if we're conscious of it and we practice it, then I think we get more comfortable with doing that. But
Well,
some people have different,
it's
especially if they're an
easier.
authority figure.
It's easier when you learn to validate yourself. It's
Right.
easier when you understand your value. It's easier when you know you lead your life in kindness. It's
Right.
easier. See, it's all here. It starts here. And anybody that, I've had this happen to me. So before I would be like, oh my God, what did I do? How did I say it? Oh, I didn't say it right. Oh, I need to be like this. I need to be like that. And it would just like, literally, I would go drive myself crazy and I'd be so unhappy.
Yeah.
And then a friend just pointed out to me, she's like, how do you go out in the world? I go out with kindness and love, and I'm trying to help people. Exactly. Do you think those people that are criticizing you are thinking that? And I said, I don't really know. So how they had rejected me, how I was showing up, was really how they showed up.
Right.
I didn't know how to show up being mean and snarky and backstabbing and angry, because
that's just not who you are.
Yeah, it's not how I'm wired. And so I realized, oh, these people are projecting their vomit all over me.
Right.
They're wanting me to be like them, to validate whatever it is, their idea of how I look. But I'm not like that. So I just kept being kind, and it just keeps on being annoying.
Yeah. Well, I hope people can take that to heart and really, and not, or take those words to heart and not the harsh words. Try to let it roll off your back, because it really is it's coming from a different place. It's not really about you. It says a lot more about them that they would speak to anybody in that way than it does about you.
I have something totally funny. So I did a Yodish chart, which is an Ayurvedic astrological chart that my Ayurvedic doctor was reading to me. And she chuckles when she opens the chart. She's like, I'm like, what? She's like, well, people either really love you or they don't. And I was like, okay, well, I think that's good now, Helen. And she's like, because now I understand why I get the feedback I get. And it's because I mirror something in them that they
Yeah.
either are or they're not.
Right. And that's, well, they say you're not forever. We are not everybody's flavor.
And
Each
in
of us.
my case, I'm not your cup of tea.
You're not the cup of tea. Right. Exactly.
Right.
And that's okay. And that's okay.
Exactly. You know, the thing about living in life is like there's this judgment, good or bad. It's either this or that. And the
Right.
truth of it is, in Buddhism, it's just this. It just is what
It just is. Right.
Right.
And people hate that phrase, but it's so true. Sometimes it is what it is.
And the thing is, if you're going out being a mean, snarky, badass, not nice person, okay, you're getting negative feedback from the world. You probably deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going out being a kind, loving, considerate, compassionate person, and you're getting negative feedback, just know that that's them.
Yeah.
Right? That you're mirroring back to them what they're not being. And it annoys them because they need, when we talk about frequency and energy, they need that snarky energy so that it justifies the way they're living and how they're speaking in the world.
Right.
Meanwhile, you're flowing and undulating and just, riding the waves, being the wave, and they can't absorb that frequency.
Right. They can't take that energy in because it's not feeding their discontent.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just remember, as you enter this holiday season, smile at those who are snarking, wish them a good day, and be on your way.
Right. Right. Well, this has been good conversation. I think that is a good spot for us to call it a day. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Love to have your feedback about this and any comments you might have or questions. So please leave it for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let us know what you liked about this episode and what you might like to hear more of. And that wraps it up for us. Please subscribe and share if you know somebody who could use a little pick me up today. And we will see you next time.
Thanks, Heather. See you guys.
Thanks, Christine. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Intuition First. We're so glad that you chose to spend your time with us today. If you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please share it with them and tag us on Instagram at Intuition First. We'd love to hear what you enjoyed and what you'd like to hear more of. And until the next time, keep listening to your intuition. It really knows what it's talking about.